Hello there and welcome back. We're picking up on part 3 of Ishmael, a novel by Daniel Quinn. Let's see what chapter 1 of part 3 has in store for us. Let's dig in. "What's that?" I said when I arrived the following morning. I was referring to an object resting on the arm of my chair. "What does it look like?" "A tape recorder." Remember, this book is from a few years back, but still quite relevant. "That's exactly what it is." "I mean, what's it for?" "It's for recording for posterity the curious folk tales of a doomed culture, which you are going to tell me." I laughed and sat down. "I'm afraid I haven't as yet found any curious folk tales to tell you." "My suggestion that you look for a creation myth bore no fruit?" "We have no creation myth," I said again, "unless you're talking about the one in Genesis." "Don't be absurd. If an 8th grade teacher invited you to explain how all this began, would you read the class the first chapter of Genesis?" "Certainly not." "Then what account would you give them?" "I could give them an account, but it certainly wouldn't be a myth." "Naturally, you wouldn't consider it a myth. No creation story is a myth to the people who tell it. It's just the story." "Okay, but the story I'm talking about is definitely not a myth. Parts of it are still in question, I suppose, and I suppose later research might make some revisions in it, but certainly it's not a myth." Excuse me, I should have turned that off. "Turn on the tape recorder and begin. Then we'll know." I gave him a reproachful look. "You mean you actually want me to tell the story?" "That's right." "I just can't reel it off. I need some time to get it together." "There's plenty of time. It's a 90-minute tape." I sighed, turned on the recorder, and closed my eyes. Chapter 2, Part 3. "It all started a long time ago, 10 or 15 billion years ago," I began a few minutes later. "I'm not current on which theory is in the lead, the steady state or the Big Bang, but in either case, the universe began a long time ago." At that point, I opened my eyes and gave Ishmael a speculative look. He gave me one back and said, "Is that it? Is that the story?" "No, I was just checking." I closed my eyes and began again. "And then, I don't know, I guess about 6 or 7 billion years ago, our solar system was born." I have a picture in my mind of some childhood encyclopedia of blobs being thrown out of blobs, coalescing. And these were the planets, which over the next couple billion years cooled and solidified. Well, let's see. Life appeared in the chemical broth of our ancient oceans about, 5 billion years ago? 3.5 or 4. Okay, bacteria, microorganisms evolved into higher forms, more complex forms, which evolved into still more complex forms. Life gradually spread to the land. I don't know, slimes at the edge of oceans, amphibians. The amphibians moved inland, evolved into reptiles. The reptiles evolved into mammals. This was a billion years ago? About 250 million years ago. Okay. Anyway, the mammals, I don't know, small critters and small niches under bushes, in the trees. From the critters in the trees came the primates. Then, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 million years ago, one branch of the primates left the trees and I ran out of steam. "This isn't a test," Ishmael said. "The broad outlines will do. Just the story as it's generally known, as it's known by bus drivers, ranch hands, and senators." "Okay," I said, and I closed my eyes again. "Okay, well, one thing led to another. Species followed species, and finally man appeared. That was 3 million years ago? 3 seems pretty safe." "Okay. Is that it?" "That's it in outline." "The story of creation as it's told in your culture." "That's right, to the best of our present knowledge." Ishmael nodded and told me to turn off the tape recorder. Then he sat back with a sigh that rumbled through the glass like a distant volcano. Love to hear that sound, right? Folded his hands over his central paunch and gave me a long, inscrutable look. And you, an intelligent and moderately well-educated person, would have me believe that this isn't a myth? What's mythical about it? I didn't say there was anything mythical about it. I said it was a myth. I think I laughed nervously. Maybe I don't know what you mean by myth. I don't mean anything you don't mean. I'm using the word in the ordinary sense. Then it's not a myth. Certainly it's a myth. Listen to it. Ishmael told me to rewind the tape and play it back. After listening to it, I sat there looking thoughtful for a minute or two, for the sake of appearances. Then I said, "It's not a myth. You could put that in an 8th grade science text, and I don't think there's a school board anywhere that would quibble with it, leaving aside the creationists." I agree, wholeheartedly. Haven't I said that the story is ambient in your culture? Children assemble it from many media, including science textbooks. Then what are you saying? Are you telling me that this isn't a factual account? It's full of facts, of course, but their arrangement is purely mythical. I don't know what you're talking about. You've obviously turned off your mind. Mother culture has crooned you to sleep. I gave him a hard look. Are you saying that evolution is a myth? No. Are you saying that man did not evolve? No. Then what is it? Ishmael looked at me with a smile. Then he shrugged his shoulders and raised his eyebrows. I stared at him and thought, I'm being teased by a gorilla. It didn't help. Play it again, he told me. When it was over, I said, okay, I heard one thing. The word appeared. I said that finally man appeared. Is that it? No, it's nothing like that. I'm not quibbling over a word. It was clear from the context that the word appeared was just a synonym for evolved. Then what the hell is it? You're really not thinking, I'm afraid. You've recited a story you've heard 1,000 times, and now you're listening to Mother Culture as she murmurs in your ear. There, my child, there's nothing to think about, nothing to worry about. Don't get excited. Don't listen to the nasty animal. There is no myth. Nothing I tell you is a myth. There's nothing to think about, nothing to worry about. Just listen to my voice and go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. I chewed on my lip for a while. Then I said, that doesn't help. All right, he said. I'll tell you a story of my own, and maybe that will help. He nibbled for a moment on a leafy wand, closed his eyes, and began. We'll do 3. Chapter 3. The story, Ishmael said, takes place 500 million years ago, an inconceivably long time ago, when this planet would be all but unrecognizable to you. Nothing at all stirred on the land except the wind and the dust. Not a single blade of grass waved in the wind. Not a single cricket chirped. Not a single bird soared in the sky. All these things were tens of millions of years in the future. Even the seas were eerily still and silent, for the vertebrates too were tens of millions of years away in the future. But, of course, there was an anthropologist on hand. What sort of world would it be without an anthropologist? He was, however, a very depressed and disillusioned anthropologist, for he'd been everywhere on the planet looking for someone to interview, but every tape in his knapsack was blank as the sky, interviewing people on cassette tapes that would record the audio. But one day, as he was moping along beside the ocean, he saw what seemed to be a living creature in the shallows offshore. It was nothing to brag about, just sort of a squishy blob, but it was the only prospect he'd seen in all his journeys, so he waded out to where it was bobbing in the waves. He greeted the creature politely and was greeted in kind, and soon the two of them were good friends. The anthropologist explained as well as he could that he was a student of lifestyles and customs, and begged his new friend for information of this sort, which was readily forthcoming. "And now," he said at last, "I'd like to get on tape, in your own words, some of the stories you tell amongst yourselves." "Stories?" the other asked. "You know, like your creation myth, if you have one." "What is a creation myth?" the creature asked. "Oh, you know," the anthropologist replied, "the fanciful tale you tell your children about the origins of the world." Well, at this the creature drew itself up indignantly, at least as well as a squishy blob can do, and replied that his people had no such fanciful tale. "You have no account of creation, then?" "Certainly we have an account of creation," the other snapped, "but it is definitely not a myth." "Oh, certainly not," the anthropologist said, remembering his training at last. "I'd be terribly grateful if you could share it with me." "Very well," the creature said, "but I want you to understand that, like you, we are a strictly rational people who accept nothing that is not based upon observation, logic, and the scientific method." Of course, the anthropologist agreed. So at last the creature began its story. The universe, it said, was born a long, long time ago, perhaps 10 or 15 billion years ago. Our own solar system, this star, this planet, and all others seem to have come into being some 2 or 3 billion years ago. For a long time, nothing whatever lived here. But then, after 1 billion years or so, life appeared. "Excuse me," the anthropologist said, "you said that life appeared. Where did that happen, according to your myth? I mean, according to your scientific account?" The creature seemed baffled by the question and turned a pale lavender. "Do you mean in what precise spot?" "No, I mean, did this happen on the land or in the sea?" "Land?" the other asked. "What is land?" "Oh, you know," he said, waving towards the shore, "the expanse of dirt and rocks that begins over there." The creature turned a deeper shade of lavender and said, "I can't imagine what you're gibbering about. The dirt and rocks over there are simply the lip of the vast bowl that holds the sea." "Oh, yes," the anthropologist said. "I see what you mean. Quite. Go on." "Very well," the other said. "For many millions of centuries, the life of the world were merely microorganisms floating helplessly in a chemical broth. But, little by little, more complex forms appeared, single-celled creatures, slimes, algae, polyps, and so on. But finally," the creature said, turning quite pink with pride as he came to the climax of his story, "but finally, jellyfish appeared." And that is the end of Ishmael's tale, which certainly gives the author, and I think all of us, some perspective that what the protagonist of our story just did was describe the world entirely in the context of humans, that the entire world was built up to the arrival of humans, and now the humans have arrived. They can basically, that's the end of history. They run the show from there. And I think we're going to tap more into the meaning of that revelation in our future chapters. Thanks for your patience and awaiting as I found time to put this out amidst a busy schedule, starting a new business and as a busy father and things like that. But I do love this community. I love all the comments and the support we get. I love being able to commune with you around incredible authors, incredible stories. So let me know what you think of this section, if you're excited about some of the implications of that story there about the jellyfish. Talk to you soon.